absolutely right. I mean, and that would be a neat thing to study, to see, because that was one of the things that they addressed, and someone had made that comment, that same thing. So you just don't have a special room you could go off. It gave you that feel, but yet it kept everything open and safe, and it meant kind of both.
Because they don't want people to be alone here. They're super big about community and stuff.
Yeah.
You understand to a certain extent, but if you have had a really long week, you just want to hang out with some friends, or you just don't want to be around people. Like,
and if there's not room in the game room and they're still trying to promote the community thing with the lobby, we get together late at night and you're disturbing everybody else who's trying to sleep, because our dorms echo really bad. Drake and Wesley especially, they echo so bad, so you can't carry on a conversation like this without keeping people up. So it's, me and my friends feel like it's not fair for us to be disturbing other people, so we just...
Good for you. I mean, and then it's very considerate.
It's because we get mad whenever other people do that, but it's counterproductive.
So when we look at this, one of the things that we have to do, and I want to keep an eye on time. Are we doing okay on time?
Yeah, we got till 1/4 after.
Okay. One of the things that we have to do, not only, part of, I think it's real easy for people to go in and make real quick snapshot judgments and assumptions or complain about things, but part of what we have to do is also promote change. And how can we do that? Understanding that these are difficult times at universities. There's a lot of expense to running a university, by the way, and helping people thrive and succeed out there. Your future really hinges on them getting it and doing it right, because you need to come out with a great degree, the skill sets you need to be able to be competitive in the workforce, things like that. So there's a lot of pressure there. I mean, there is. But what you're analyzing are all things that is quite fascinating. I mean, it really is, and it's really very insightful. Hearing your opinions about these things makes all the difference in the world when you look at how do you promote change and how do you keep people here. And so I appreciate that. Is there some others? Did you get those things down? Did that give you some time to write some additional
I
things?
just remembered the other one that I was going to write that down real quick.
Okay. Do you have the rec room, I think, Bo, to your point, that until you address being able, and to all of yours point, the individualization of your group, to where if you can have a system within that rec room that allows you to still keep everything safe, still promote sense of community, be a place to kind of almost defrag with your friends. So even though you're in a room full of 15 other groups, you still have an ability to be there. So it's not so awkward if there's just two people.
A lot of camp. Well, this last summer I was on the ministry teams for the school, so we went to a bunch of different other Wesleyan colleges and stuff, and like one of them that I'm thinking of, it's in New York, and they have the cafeteria up top, and then the bottom. It's this huge room, so it's open, but yet there's little different sets of furniture. So those kind of like what you're saying, everything's open and safe and everything. But there's like a coffee table, couches, and 2 chairs on the side, and so you're still just with those people. So it creates a little bit of privacy.
Yeah.
And there's nothing like that. That's why everyone goes to the library.
Okay, so we need to put that there. There's not enough seating currently in the rec room. There's not enough group settings to where you could go off with your group and sit comfortably. And have that little alone time, things like that. That's all very interesting.
Like she said, it does tend to move to the library, and then you're disturbing everybody else.
Study room.
Yeah, because they take up the study rooms to do their TV watching or their video games or whatever, but then you leave the groups hanging, and then they're disturbing other people who are at the quiet tables.
Interesting. That's great. Okay, anything else with the infrastructure that you all can think of?
Well, as for food, I'm not a vegetarian or anything like that, but I don't know if you know her, I won't say her name. But she's like, I think she's either vegan or vegetarian, but there's not a lot of options, for people that don't really eat that kind of food.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's no,
Like
who
food
don't
choices.
eat that?
Yeah, that don't eat meat and stuff like that.
Okay, so basically there's a one kind of set menu, but it's
Yeah.
not going to be, if you've got celiac disease
So
or
they'll probably have to,
Yeah.
or
like,
if you have you're a vegan or a vegetarian, then there's not a lot, maybe not enough ways of getting protein, things like that you need.
because there's salads and stuff like that, salads and fruit, but there's not
That's pretty much it. Salad, fruit, and
Rotisserie chicken.
pastas.
But if they don't
It's
eat,
there.
like,
I
I
know,
know,
I'm saying
that's
that's
the, those are the staples though.
Okay, do you have that down?
That's all we got.
no, they can.
Because at Indiana Wesleyan, they have the same people who do the food here, whatever they're called again, but they have way more choices, and just like they actually have like chefs behind the stoves and stuff like that, not just
Buffet style.
yeah. I mean, it's still buffet style, but it's like they have different soups every day. They have, they have different paninis every day.
Oh,
Like,
that sounds good.
it's just so. We have the ability. I just don't know if we just don't have the money, obviously, or just like the space or something. But I mean, they can make it a lot better.
Okay.
So knowing that, that's a little frustrating. But I mean, obviously, I don't know the money situation. So.
Mhm. The campus, is it pretty, as far as is it comparable to the Oklahoma
What
Wesleyan University? Is
city
it
is it
higher?
Starts with Marion, but it's the biggest Wesleyan school.
Okay.
So I mean, there's like 4,000 students.
Mhm.
So
Where are we at here at this particular one?
wow.
I think 500 to 600 here on campus.
Okay.
So
Okay.
so I
And some
understand
live on
that
campus.
too.
But you know, there's no reason why one day this university can't be like that. You know, I mean, I think that's probably what they're envisioning too, is that you would like to see every Wesleyan university in all the different states really get to this type of level.
Mhm.
So I think it's isolating things like that students, it just appeals to them when they go
Mhm.
on campus and they see some things like that.
Because
That's, you know,
I was joking this summer, but I was telling the truth. I said if I would have known, like if I would have gone through the campus and stuff, I probably would have picked there over here. Because they offered so much more and stuff like that.
But in retrospect, I've visited quite a few schools and their food was a lot worse off than what we do have.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to
Like
have an
it's-
example of what we can
yeah.
strive for. There is no doubt about that. It's wonderful. It's within a Wesleyan University
Yeah, see, that's
structure
the thing,
too.
yeah. It's not a state school that has
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A, but
Yeah.
it's still a Wesleyan school.
Yeah,
I think it was,
but it is a problem with all universities. We're going to
Yeah.
analyze. I mean, no one's going to get it correct. Yeah.
I think like, because when I came and visited, I was like, this calf is terrible. I mean, but I was just like, okay, maybe it's just because the school's small or something.
Mhm.
And then, like, the freshmen this year got the revamped cafeteria, so they think this is, like, good. It's like, it's
I visited
okay.
my
It's-
junior year, so I
We're
visited
making
my
some
junior year
improvements
college.
too, so.
So have they improved it? And that's what I would like to do.
Oh,
Now,
there's
is there
a
anything
lot
else
of
before?
improvement.
There is a,
It's
there is a
lot.
lot.
I mean, I feel like
Great.
it looks prettier, but it doesn't,
It's like the same food.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, nothing
So the
changed
food
with the
quality
food.
hasn't changed as
Right.
far as our accessibility to variety or whatever. It
Yeah,
doesn't
the
change, but.
appearance has
But the
changed.
appearance, did that help, by the way, changing the overall appearance?
I also like how they do those little lines, you know how they have quesadillas and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But
that's
other
cool.
than that, it's just pretty much kind of the same.
Okay, so the fast tracking
Yeah,
lines that you
those
can.
lines are
Like, we
good.
used to have a sandwich bar open all day, but now like they changed the hours of the calf, and so like they make you, like they prepare the sandwich for you, so you can't just go and make yourself a sandwich anymore. So you have to go in when it's dinner, serving dinner time or lunchtime, and then they'll make it for you.
And that makes it hard on athletes.
Yeah.
I think part of that is the company
Did you
that
get
they
that
hired,
Let's get something down.
because
Okay,
it's not
the company.
necessarily the school's rules, and the cap is that company.
Because you do contract out
Yeah.
with people, and you're trying to get a reasonable, a good deal to keep the cost down for you as well, and so it is a hard balancing, I think it's a good point.
I know somebody that goes to Kansas Wesleyan, I thought something interesting they did is they have like a late dinner every night that opens up, the cafe opens up at like 9:30 to 12:30.
Oh, that'd be great.
Wow.
Yeah, and so you can go in and it's like breakfast food and a grill. And,
Kind of like what they
yeah,
do during
and it-
finals here.
yeah, that one night that we get every semester, but they do that every night.
Mhm.
That would be
Except
so
for
cool.
like Sunday night, and so you don't have to go to QT and get a corn dog or whatever. You can not spend money and not waste your 19 meals for athletes, and you can actually go eat.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense, that's
I think
great.
every day somebody goes to QT. It
Oh,
never
yeah.
fails.
Yeah.
Last night.
Like I went last night.
Yeah, we heard that a lot.
Good for
in the-
QT.
Yeah,
Half
we
of
heard that a
those
lot
was
in
right
the last two
last
classes, by the way. It came up a lot, the question of QT, and if we had something kind of like that here on campus.
Sounds
We
like
didn't have to
an
drive.
opportunity to
Yeah,
meet somebody
less
open a
gas,
Because-
less-
small QT.
I know.
The one in the Wesleyan school in New York had a grill that was open until midnight
Okay.
or something. And it was, I don't know if it was a separate, I think it was a separate company that came in and did it, but they still had it.
I want to make sure that we have this down. Do we have the points that you guys just raised with the dinner? Is that on there? Do you have
Yeah.
it worded? in
Half
there.
hours hard for athletes, have a late night dinner, and then have like a grill type thing.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful.
Is rules a part of infrastructure?
Rules are something entirely different,
Okay.
but it can be a part of infrastructure. However, there were some very specific reasons why the group voted to pull that out as an overall barrier versus having it solo. This is the process, by the way. Can you see how much time we spent on one? Can you imagine, we went through every single solitary one of these things, but it's great information, and you know, I just sit here and thought, man, if I ever had $10 million, I'd love to give to you all and see what you would change here and just really go at it in the overall design. It's really quite fun to see and exciting to hear some of the comments that you all have, because it.
You know, they redid the cafe and it looks really good. The problem that I have with it, we don't eat here anymore. My family does not come here on Sunday anymore. It's so freaking loud that you can't hear yourself think. Because they made it look modern with no ceiling, you know, but there's no, they need baffles or something in there because I guess if you're old and you're deaf, it doesn't matter. But I'm not old and deaf yet. I'm old.
Well, I
See,
will
it
tell
always
you.
funny,
I don't even notice.
It only gets like that, so it's very
I
seldom,
noticed.
like whenever the families come,
Uh-huh.
or
When it's
it's
busy.
like 5:30, it
I
gets a
think the
little
students
loud.
have figured out how loud it is, because it doesn't bother me either.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you've
Yeah,
adjusted
sure,
to
like,
it.
it is at
We used to have the
Yeah.
TVs on, like, you cut the TV up and like you still couldn't hear over
Yeah.
everybody, because it just echoes.
So
It's
now
like
we put
Buffalo Wild Wings with
subtitles
no buffer.
on. And
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
They're supposed to get
Okay.
sound clouds, apparently, to put up into the ceilings,
Okay,
but they never did that.
so they haven't done, and that might be a budgeting issue or
Yeah.
whatever, or just maybe not feel like it was necessary now, but
And as you mentioned,
do you have
like,
that down?
Okay.
like people donating to our school, that's kind of what keeps our school running,
Mhm.
is the donors. Like the people who built that new dorm, like that was,
There's only one guy.
Mr. Like Mr. and
yeah,
Mrs.
like they
Mhm.
made that, like
In the
they made our
library.
library, like they've put a lot of money into our school.
Sure appreciate those
Yeah.
philanthropists, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, and it's wonderful, and that's really what, I really admire Dr. Piper, because since he's been here, so much has happened, and a large part of what he does is bringing on donors and philanthropists and doing fundraising and getting these needs met, and so I was blown away with just his overall approach, how serious he takes in meeting the needs of students, and was really impressed, and by the faculty as a whole as well, too. Okay. Do we have anything else that we want to add to infrastructure? I want to know your thoughts before we go on to some accomplishments that have happened. How do you feel about this process so far?
Can you repeat that?
How do you feel about this process so far?
I mean, it's good to know the things that you need to work on and the things you're doing good at. So, I mean, it's beneficial.
That's great. That's wonderful. Anyone else?
I think it's good to, like, pretty much like dissect, like what we already have and where we could go from here. And then like be appreciative of what we kind of do have, because like I just thought about like these people donate to our school, so like it's not like we just have money to just go and fix all our problems. you
Very
know?
great point. Yeah,
So, yeah.
great point.
It also speaks to me about you guys' abilities to understand all the aspects, not just complain. You know,
Yes.
that's, I think sometimes, I'm an adult sometimes, but I think about my kids, you know, and sometimes I just think they're just complaining, and I don't take it seriously. And I think it's really important for all of us to realize, that's a really just a mature viewpoint. And sometimes professors and people in charge, they hear so many complaints, they just start turning off their ears.
Yeah.
You
You
know?
almost get desensitized to it.
Oh, yeah, and it's not almost, they do get desensitized, so it's really good to have this kind of conversation,
Yeah.
to hear it. I just can't believe it.
Yeah, it's great to hear
The
that.
first time we did this last year, we actually started in the research class. And I started having this conversation. I don't even know how we looked up articles on retention. I think I was interested in student. And people started talking about these issues, and they were crying in the classroom, and I'm going, uh-oh, I'm gonna get in trouble now. I mean, they were crying about how painful it was, parts of this that you guys have brought up. It was so painful to them that they were hurting. And nobody had given them a place, they had not created a place where somebody that could listen,
That's what I was about to say.
that would make a difference.
They need to have stuff like this, and like like some of these real issues that people are having with register with financial aid or something, because it just gets overlooked. And like we don't have any, like, okay, well, they're not helping me, and they told me I could graduate, like, what do I do? Like, they're like, oh, well, you have to, like, you just, I don't know, there's
you
nothing
panic
to
and
do.
then you freak out and there's
And if
nobody
you're-
going, hang on, we're gonna get it figured
Yeah,
out.
and if you're paying this much money for it, then, like, obviously there's gonna be a little inconsistency, but, like,
You guys need to switch psychology, because we screw up like that all the time, and we make it right with you and get you through. We do. I mean, if we've told you the wrong thing, we substitute something in, we find a CPR class you can take to get that extra hour. We do a lot of different things like that.
the business professionals are very good at
We
that.
want to be more consistent though,
Yeah.
do it right, so that I'm learning how to do it. That's something I never did until I came here. I've taught like workshops, but I never did advising. And the details,
Like, certain classes are only offered every other odd fall semester. Oh,
and you've
it's
got to
difficult.
take them.
Yeah.
Part of what this process is all about is really getting a larger and I think a more clear picture from all sides. I think I love your point that you brought in about donors and how appreciative you were of those, because we wouldn't have the new dorm, we wouldn't have some of the rec rooms, some of these things, the business building that's been built just last year, and all the improvements that have happened if it wasn't for those philanthropists and coming back in to the university because they believe in what's happening here. And as a community, that helps us out a great deal. Having you all here, having that ability for people to be able to go to school, they don't have to travel far away and stuff like that. But what we're hoping that you gain from this process is, one, you do feel better. I don't know if you all do, but when you have things that are frustrating you and you don't have a way to be able to express that, or feel like nothing's ever going to change, or the ability to have the opportunity to analyze it so you can see the other side, then it can cause a lot of those bit of frustrations. And when you're feeling overwhelmed about lack of money and finances is a stressor, and you're having to communicate between parents and the school and having to go back and forth, and you have all of these other things that are just outside of the college experience or your education itself, a classroom, then all of a sudden it can almost be overwhelming. And that can cause a lot of people to kind of start shutting down. It can affect grades. But the ability to be able to communicate here and know that your voice can be heard. It doesn't mean that everything that you sit here, they're going to go out and say, okay, we need to put every one of those in place. But you never know what happens, what takes hold with funders, what takes hold with faculty, what takes hold just because you gave them insight into some problems that we might be able to fix that doesn't cost anything on campus as well. Or if we do get into some funding, this is something we need to rethink about. And it allows, I think there's always needs to be a voice there. And I think that's one of the things that I got out of last year's experience with the professors. When the faculty came in and Dr. Piper came in and we had an opportunity to talk with them, was how much they care about what you think and feel. And how serious they take those things too. And so know that you've got a lot of support. I think your voice is being heard. But in order to do that, we've got to take the time to analyze it effectively. And we've got to effectively communicate that. And we also have to spend even more time in solving the problem than we do about complaining about the problem. So for every minute that you sat around with your group or anything and have sat around and just complained about things, how much time have you been a part of something that actually promotes change? And that's one of the things that I encourage, is that we have to start looking at how we can build either a civic group or some type of group here, club here on campus that really gives people a way that they can join that's all about promoting change, promoting policy, and analyzing and saying, this year we're going to work on this. And these are changes that really do not need any dollars. We're just going to be dedicated into making a difference.
So it's the big view on campus.
It is.
And it's exactly what Lotman's whole book was about,
Mm-hmm.
is that you're doing exactly what he's trying to get people, cities to look at. Well, this is a little city within the city. You know, needs QT. Figure that out.
One of the things that I would like for us to do in that investigations class next year is to, if we can get through certain portions of it, is in with the strategic planning process.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
And to where the last 3 weeks, we actually take time. If you, those of you who haven't been through this class, if you decide to take the next one, is spend some time really analyzing that. And we're going to do that on Thursday. We're actually going to do the SWOT analysis, which is like what we talked about a while ago. We're going to do that on Thursday. I'm going to have you read just real briefly some of the things that they, on that sheet. I had to use her as my
Yeah, I
eyes
was gonna
because,
say, I'd have to have a magnifying
oh my
glass.
goodness, all of you all can read this. It's me, I can go here to here, and it's all too small. But can you read the strengths that they've identified?
Mission, the 4 Ps, accreditations, financial stability, good faculty, student success, retention rate and graduation rate, good benefits, aggressive enrollment management, a service mindset amongst the staff, strong administrative leadership, and a culture of innovation.
Okay, then I want you to go on to the weaknesses. This is a process they went through. They went through strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that they had to identify. We're going to do that same thing, just in kind of a quick version from a student's perspective, but if you can read the weaknesses they have identified.
Okay, staff stress due to increased enrollment, operational leanness, lack of career placement, lack of ESL, weak alumni involvement, campus housing, and lack of integration between campus software systems.
Okay. So are you starting to realize that faculty have all these other issues that they're kind of dealing with as well? That they acknowledge that there's a lot of strengths that are here, but at the same time there's some challenges out there that they still would like to see addressed too. So there's all of this kind of infrastructure on a whole nother level. So we have the student infrastructure that we have to address, which is what you all just reviewed, but then you have this whole faculty infrastructure that has some problems that also have to be addressed that we might not even be aware of in this particular group as well. Okay, we're going to stop there. I'm not going to go into opportunities or threats yet because we're going to go through this same type of process. But what I wanted to let you know is that this is exactly what your faculty has done here, is they've gone in and they've analyzed this. What we need to make sure is that your voice is heard, and I think they're very, very open to that, and they take a lot of that into consideration. And if there's a way that in analyzing how do we come about promoting change, do we have all the right voices at the table? I think that's what we started last year. In looking at, and that's one of the things that I think for 2014, 2015, we need to see what we can create. And it might already exist. Who's plugged into that? How do they go about doing it? But we'll take some time and actually analyze that next year. I wish that we could have done this all the way through because it's a lot of fun, isn't it, to go through and really be able to talk about these things. But it's a lot more fun when you can go into looking at solutions and how you can start communicating between the departments and making those type of suggestions. I want to end with us looking at infrastructure. So I want you to go back into your group. You only have 5 minutes. Go back into your group. Oh, am I right on the time? Is this correct?
You're fine.
Okay. Back into your groups, and I want you to talk about in the infrastructure, those things that you address. What changes have you noticed this year? Changes that may have been made over the last year that you've noticed with where the infrastructure is concerned.
Parking lots, they
So,
added
another
that
good
new
one.
little parking
Yeah.
spots at the top of the chapter, like that wasn't there before.
Oh, we,
And then they just, they tried to,
No curfew. Well, I mean,
make
swing.
the,
Yeah, true.
like, environment more appealing, like,
Do
they put
freshmen
the
do that
flags
too?
up. Like the sports flags, like they promoted the 4
It's been
Ps
huge this year.
stronger this year than they have ever.
They never.
I mean, like Piper always, every time you talk, it's like every. You would think freshmen get a basic like, without saying.
That's what they were gonna do originally. Yeah. It just never. Not always literally.
In my office.
they did have the game room.
Yeah, like, and that's just in the main office.
Because there's so many things I think I've ever seen. What are y'all saying?
Like the promotion of 4 Ps. And that's the environment, like making the environment more acceptable. With those, you know, like the flags that they put. Maintenance is huge.
I'm trying to make campus look better.
I like the
Yeah, we got new buildings, clusters.
Yeah.
We have flags.
I'm sitting in
And they redid like the science buildings. That was very cool.
What they do with the signs.
They redid a bunch of the inside and then the outside. They completely redid it. Well, that was. Wait, you're a freshman?
No, I'm sophomore.
You're sophomore?
See, I was in there all last year because I was a biology major. And
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
everything, yeah, it was all, I felt like I was
Yeah.
going to school in 7th grade.
Yeah, so they redid the whole inside. I mean, it's still the same layout and everything, but they just redid the floor and they redid the steps or stuff.
They said that he possibly, because like I was like looking at him during his season, and they were saying like he could possibly get more depth.
The reason why it's yeah, exactly. Even though it's still really comfortable. I don't like
played
the
overseas
outside.
and he went to England,
But-
and then
Really?
now he's trying to get into like
Sorry that it.
the net or no, I was gonna say
Any literature, any history course.
I think some like social
Humor courses.
or I don't know if that's
They're all
right.
complaining.
That's not right.
I'm taking all their students. And I didn't do it. And I said, why aren't you doing this?
They have this semester. They on our evaluation sheets and that sends those out. You fill them out by your professor.
Yeah.
They started surveying each class on issues they're having with their advisors.
Yeah, I did that this
Yeah.
morning.
So that
It was
Yeah, she
pretty
put
detailed.
she put like her own survey like on there.
It goes,
That was,
it's
like,
on the rest of your classrooms, like whenever you
Like
get done,
you have
pop
all
up.
your class evals, and then like for Julia Crouch's is like the small survey, and it's like about your advisors.
It's like,
About
were they
like
communicating
feedback.
with you, were the need to communicate with them, were they helpful, that kind of stuff, like it was.
Because I was saying my
I got extra
advisor
credit
was
in
not
statistics
an
for that.
advisor till I went up
Doing
to
what?
them.
You
What's
get
it
another
like?
extra credit.
Yeah,
in
it's the
statistics
same
for
teacher.
doing that one.
I always go to
For
Jackson.
the eval?
And like,
Sorry.
I
How
feel
much?
like when I sit in the room, he really
10
didn't
points?
want
Yes.
to be an
That's a few
advisor.
homework assignments, right?
So I was like, okay. But he gave me good advice today, like to figure out what my 4 semester plan is going to be. And because I was like, well, what classes can I take somewhere else instead of having to take here? And I don't want to have to pay for the extra credit. I don't want to pay $800 to have 19 credits so I can graduate on time. Like, it's not going to happen. So
He's not very good about that. So I was
he had to
like,
keep calling the register every time, like, what class is this and when is this one offered?
go to Jackson
Because it's
if
really-
he has time.
The
because-
registrar always messes up my classes that I got transferred in. Like every semester I have to go down there and tell them that, no, this credit was taken here. No, this credit goes in this section. Every.
I think maybe they need like a new setup on like web access, like maybe like, cause it's hard for me to
Yes.
understand kind
It just is.
of, like what
Really
class I need for the next semester. And it's hard for
I
the
agree.
teachers to
It
understand
breaks
like
and-
what
Yeah, I
keywords
agree.
do they
Have an
always
integrated
change.
I feel like
function
it
to it.
should be,
Yeah.
like, here's your
Because we're not-
plan, and it should
Otherwise,
like
it
check them
chunks-
off.
chunky
Because
action.
I've looked at
And then you
other
use that
colleges to
momentum.
do some of my classes at, and they have, this is what business management and leadership majors need to do their first year. This is what they need to do their second year.
Yeah, see,
And
because
that, we don't have that.
we
Like,
have a
'cause we just
book,
have, like,
you
this
can go
little
get the book, but it won't be on
catalog,
web
But
What
access.
do you do
it's
with catalog?
switched, and it doesn't say what you need to do, or when it's offered your
Yeah.
second semester. It goes every semester.
But it just
And,
has, like, a
every
list.
class pretty much that I put in web access has not come up.
Yeah.
And
You
I
have to do
try
a
and figure out
keyword
what the
search
keyword
too,
is.
and, yeah.
I will tell you, if I needed a group to help analyze how to promote change, you will definitely be right there. I mean, just
We're
the
not kidding either.
Yeah, I mean, very seriously, you have some amazing feedback. You're very, very insightful. And this whole process that you have gone through this year in both the investigations course and the building bridges and the circles, piece of this gives you the skill sets to learn how to start analyzing things and seeing it from all different types of perspective. And I can hear it in your tone. We don't always come with that ability at the beginning when we're freshmen coming here. I think it would be completely different if I were to take brand new people who are coming in as freshmen and after their first semester without any type of training on how to do self-analysis or community-wide analysis. We wouldn't be where we're at, but you guys are there. And that's what's so beautiful about it is now, because you've learned how to truly analyze things, you see it. And you see how easy change can happen, and your advice that's coming forward is very sound, very, very sound, and Very insightful. So I'm impressed. So let's talk about the accomplishments. What have you seen? Changes that you have seen happen over this last year that you've noticed that have improved from last year when we started to analyze all this?
We talked about, obviously we have a new dorm now, so that helps a little bit, because now people aren't having to triple up as much anymore. And then they switched the curfew to 2 a.m. for all students.
I heard that was a big one. Yeah, from
Even
what was
a
it,
freshman.
12 to 2 now?
Yeah, so then we also got the game room. Bo mentioned that the campus is looking a lot nicer. They've really put in a lot of
Aesthetics.
time and effort into that.
Feels good. You're proud of it.
And
when
we
you
learned
kinda-
from, in some positive psychology, that does make a difference.
And
How you
It
feel,
changes
how
the
well you
mood
do.
of like your.
And they've
you're
created
proud
more
to
work
say
study
you're
jobs by doing that though.
Yeah.
Because they've got the students are the ones mowing and trimming and stuff too, so it's.
Really?
Well, I mean, well, they've done that like since last year.
But
too,
they,
though.
I heard that they
But
added
they've
on like
always done
5
that.
positions
Yeah.
though.
Because
Like,
that
it
was one of the suggestions that we made.
Mhm.
There was people said they couldn't get
Into the work
a job
setting. Yeah, on campus.
If you don't have a car, you don't have much option.
So it sounds like they expanded that. Seems like they've had it, but they expanded that ability to include additional, which is fantastic. And the overall feel, that's great to hear. Okay, what else?
They also redid the website, but we kind of agreed it still needs work on because it's
It's-
so
I
hard
get
to get
phone
around
calls
it.
every day
Our
about the
website's
website
not
because they
good.
can't figure out which application they're supposed to be filling out. If it's supposed to be the AGS one or the one for here or the online one.
It's
It's
just hard to
distinguish.
find stuff. You really, I mean, unless you really know the website's easy to work on, but like
Like even athletics was like, you would think it'd be the simplest thing to go click on a roster, but it's not.
it's hard.
Okay.
And then,
Yeah.
So it has a new look and it has some things to it, but yet
it's
it's
more
still.
modern.
Mhm.
It's up to date, but
Like they work on it constantly.
Yeah,
it's
that's an
just-
enormous
And
amount
that's
of work.
another thing too, when they start working on it, you can't get on. So.
Okay. So during the
Yes.
school year, that could be a kind of a difficult
And
problem.
that's one of those things that everybody struggles with.
Yeah.
Unless you've got an Apple company running it,
Yeah.
you know, you're gonna have, it's got to be hard to keep up with. I can't even
It
figure
is,
out how to open
I can
this.
tell you myself. Yeah, it's very, very difficult. Okay,
And then
great.
our last one is this semester they finally came out with an advisor survey to ask us, well, they asked us a lot of questions. They asked us about our advisor, how well they communicated, how well we communicated, but then they also asked like, if you could go back, would you still go to school here? Would you recommend this school? Like, so I feel like they're getting really good feedback.
Excellent.
Wow,
That is
that's a-
absolutely
That's a scary
excellent.
question.
Yeah.
It is. I
And
mean,
it's awesome that they're asking those things.
Yeah.
that was
They're
one of our
very good
concerns
feedback.
when we looked at identifying professors and some things that we were, and that's how they wanted to label it, but that's basically is evaluating, you know, this faculty.
Because every class we get to evaluate our professor, but then this time we get to evaluate the school, which is nice.
Yeah, that was.
Like it's
that
not
was
just their
nice.
teaching skills.
Is that
it's
the
their
alumni
personal-
survey, student and
Yeah.
alumni survey? Okay.
It's a new
It's a
one on the,
It's on the
Julia Crouch
same
does it.
Oh,
class.
excellent.
Okay.
That's great.
It's like mine was a junior survey.
Yeah.
Oh,
and it's
okay.
their freshman survey.
Well, Julia's really good.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, it's not her job anymore, I don't think.
Oh, really?
It
She
just
got
like
promoted.
Doesn't
to
surprise me.
Developing master's degree programs, I think.
Wonderful. Okay. Anything else?
We got some too for ours, for our group. It said change the cab, add a little parking spot like towards the chapel area. Change curfew, make environment more appealing. Promotion of the 4 Ps, you can see it everywhere, like on banners, the big old
It's in
pillars,
every
The
building.
pillars, you now
Yeah.
see it.
like everywhere. And then maintenance has improved. And then they improved the gym and recognized players, like you can see Stadio and like Steve Briggs, their banner on the wall, and then like the pads on the gym. And did they repaint the floor? I don't know. It looks like
They
they
did.
did. Yeah. So improvements in the gym, and then the expanded work study jobs. You already said that. So
Mhm.
Well, you guys have excelled in almost, I mean, from the basketball team to the croquet team, we are national champions. You know, baseball,
Mm.
it's incredible.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It's
That draws a lot of students here, and it draws a lot, you know, to the organization as a whole. That's wonderful. Anything else?
That's it, that's what we got.
You know what, that's fantastic. So there has been a lot of changes, as you can tell, that have happened within a year. It takes time to make changes and to see that happen. But you can tell that this university is all about making change and forward thinking and keeping up with the times and really trying to meet the needs. And I know sometimes we can feel like it's not happening, but when you really look at what has changed just over the last 2 years alone, it's amazing. And I love the fact, I love hearing that they're now asking your opinion. And they might have done that all along, we don't know. But that's wonderful to hear that they're doing that. And you just have to know that their heart's in the right place, your heart is in the right place. And when you have that, that's the most difficult thing, anything can happen. And so I'm very proud of you guys. And I wish we had the ability to just really go all the way through this again. And be able to handle this information, but it looks like we'll get creative next semester and see what we can do in getting that moving into the next level. Sound good? All right. We want to end with appreciations real quick. Anyone want to start?
I will. I appreciate you because you always surprise me with what comes when you talk. Because it's really very clear. You have a lot of clarity. Thanks for being in our class.
It goes back that way, right?
It's going this way, it looks like. You want to the right?
I appreciate Jordan because she's always there for me when I need her. Like the other one.
You're welcome.
That's
You're
good.
welcome. But I appreciate you, Gina, for a lot of things. I can't list them all, but your bubbly personality and just always listening to us talk and, just making this class really fun and exciting, listening to our input on these different things. It really does help, like, people noticing what we need help with, so I appreciate you.
Thank you for being my eyes. There's absolutely no way I would have been able to draw any of that, even figure it out by looking at that had you not been there. And so it's always great to see you. I'm glad you were here today.
I appreciate you both for being open and talkative and just saying your opinions.
Thank you. I appreciate you because you're going through a lot. With getting married here pretty soon, you seem to be really on top of stuff. That's something I couldn't handle.
Thank you. And Nikki, I appreciate you because every time I am really tired and don't necessarily want to come to class, not anything against you,